Hey guys, my name is Adam Liebros. I am the current head of talent at Clear Talent Group, Los Angeles. I've been there for about 4 years. I came over in the middle of the pandemic. Interesting time to join a new company. And yeah, I'm there for 4 years. My main focus, just to discuss many of topics. My main focus is TV and film. That has always been where my focus has been. I've been in California working in Hollywood for 15 years. So I have seen many of shifts, many of new waves of the town through a pandemic, which all have as well as actors and individuals. Now we're on the other side of that. So yeah, I'm here to discuss. I'm going to start off, I think, with the social media angle. Um, as it pertains to, now keep in mind, what I'm going to kind of would be as it pertains to just acting as well. Also how to like your brand in a way where through the digital space where it could help out your um, film. So I imagine, regardless of you guys bring to the table are on social media in some capacity, whether it's for YouTube channel or your Instagram or for that matter. What I have gathered, the really for smaller like stars or some stars, but like juicy where it's like a series regular or a studio movie getting behind that. They do kind of in with your social media. I think in anticipation of that big role or doing something, I think taking kind of attention early on is a smart thing to do. Now, on your brand and your direction, um, every day, sure, I'm gonna be a personal thing. I'm not gonna sit here and advise on that because sometimes it just doesn't make the most sense. But do think doing it in a way that's like, but also just builds out your brand is a smart thing to do. Anticipation of when people start checking on it, you're already established, small little following, which is not a bad idea. Now, how to gain that following, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I know the answer to that because there are 9 million ways to get that. Yeah, I think giving it some thought is a solid plan. And in regards to just TV and film, if we can, move towards that because it's a good segue in discussing about that. I don't see, and you can just show me by like your head or whatever because I can see all your faces. I imagine that most of the auditions that come through to you guys are either self tapes or submitting. Would that be what's happening? Okay. Have you guys had the opportunity to do like a Zoom in any capacity where you're zooming with someone else? Okay. There is, just to give you a like heads up on that, there is that out there. So just know that there is a world where this kind of a audition could happen. And I think it's interesting, even if it's not in your world just yet, I think it's good to know how to prep for that because it does. Let's say you self tape for something, whether through your representation or it's self submitting, which both are ways of procuring opportunities. The next step could always be a Zoom session, whether it's with producers or whether it's with casting again because they want to rework you did or they just want to play. And I think that takes a understanding and a confidence to just understand the subject, whether it's a film, whether it's a movie, TV, or it's a mini series, or even like a web series, and they just give you the script or any material. I think knowing it and being able to go into that Zoom or that session and be able to like notes and play is going to give you a stronger position to make fans through the casting directors and or book the job, which are the two things that you always want to do. As as reps, we always tell, actors that it's important to, obviously we all want to book the job, but it's super important to also win the room. And sorry, I thought the sound just cut out there. So even if you don't book the job, as long as the casting director is someone who walks away from that session and they're like, oh, this person was great. And though they're not right for this, they keep you in mind because that stuff doesn't go away. Room, make the fan. And then that will carry over because also simultaneously, casting directors may have multiple projects at the same time. So they could be reading you, let's just say they're reading you for, but at the same time, they're casting another show that is something you didn't for at that moment. But they see you and they're thinking like he could or she could be right for this. So I think that is something super important to keep in mind. I think also I'm curious, and you guys can write it in the chat. Majority of your self tapes, are they, films or TV? I think that will really help me understand, even by a show of hands. Is it mostly film, mostly TV? So TV, raise your hand. Okay. Raise your hand. Okay. Then in regards to the others, I think it's just, to be honest, it's preparation. I want to just lean all the way into that. And the ability to not be given a note and have that throw you off. Like casting director or anyone you're reading with, a note, and to digest that, take a moment and then be prepared to play, I think is a really good just thing to understand before you go into that. And to that point, I think if I can flip back, because it seems like the majority of you playing in this self-tape sandbox, when you are submitting for, it doesn't matter what it is, if it's a film or a TV or film, don't be afraid to take risks with your tapes, whether it's the first take of what it is on the page, and then the second one, just play a little bit, have some fun. And whether you're doing, I'm going to say do like an amount of improv, but I think if you do a little more, add your personality to it, and then send that as well in addition, I think there's extreme value in that. That would be probably the biggest note with the self-taping, because it is, my side of the equation. It is hard for, actors don't know. They're like, okay, they watch it, did they not watch it? And that void is sometimes you don't know, you just have to trust the process. I can tell you from just experience in the high profile world of TV and film, everything is getting watched. So if it's a smaller thing, whether it's student film or whether it's a pilot presentation, your tapes are definitely getting eyeballs on them. So I know it's like over and over, self tapes may be like, okay, feels like a little bit of a void. And that feeling is something that once you hopefully hear someone tell you otherwise, hopefully that is instilled with you. And just know that, yeah, whether you hear back or not, it's still, you can't control that. You can only control in this business, no matter where you are, what part of the world you're in, or you're trying to get into Hollywood, or you're currently in Hollywood, you can only control so much. And just like an agent, I can only control so much. I like to believe I can people and control many of things, but the reality is you can only control what you can control. So you need to take a stronghold on that. And that, for the actor in your position, would be putting the best work out there, sending multiple options, giving them a chance to see all the flavors that you can bring to the table. I think those two things are good. And also just, being extremely proactive, whether that is classes, things of that nature, I think are super important. I don't know where all of you are located, if you're US, international, but definitely even little things like that, because relationships are beyond important, and you don't know who is going to be connected to this person or who's going to be connected to that person. And that could help in the long run and also in the short run too. I think those couple facts are really like the groundwork of how you can start off your career on the right foot. Um, to think what else being so I'm just gonna open it up in that part. Basically anything I said we can do questions here. I can elaborate on certain things that I've discussed. And also by you asking questions, it'll give me a good idea of where you guys are all at, because I see a lot of different, here too, which will only help. I don't know if Jeremy, you want to facilitate that, or you want me to just call on people? But either way.
If anybody has any questions, you can raise your hand based on what he's about so far. And then we can kind of from there. No one has any questions?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I think you're on mute.
Oh, Miguel, you're on mute.
Hello.
There we go. We got there.
Hi. Question was like, we're going to do like, will they tell us what they require to send, or maybe it's related to like the video more than the zooming? Is it when they tell us what to send?
You're saying like the material?
Yes.
Okay. Besides, yeah, just we can walk through this. Like you're saying you get an appointment through platform, and you get the sides, the pages, basically.
Okay.
You would get that, and then you're just asking. So your directions would be to send back those pages, correct?
Okay.
Given that, if that is the directions that are presented in front of you, so my advice to you would be do a few takes, give them a few flavors. You don't, if you only send one, don't know, like, you don't get to leave it all out there, because it's not like in the room thing where they can give you tips. So if you throw multiple opportunities for yourself in the mix, you have to think that you increase your probability. So take a few risks by, on the second take, throw a little different type, a different, I'm not saying go like accent or like different character, like go completely in left field, but just a little different flavor, even if it's like look or like an attitude adjustment or something, a shift. Just feel freedom to just play in the second version of what you're sending over. The first one, do it how you think they want it on the page. That's fine. More risk. Second one, have some fun. Throw some risk in there, because honestly, at the end of the day, they may not know what they want, and what you do and your instincts may be the exact thing that they want. So like I said, the only thing you can do is really try to control the narrative as much as possible. And that is you taking a tiny piece of a little bit of control for your own work.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Else. Okay. Now that I kind of, guys, I'm just curious, because I imagine you guys are all in. Are the majority of you guys international, or US? Okay. Is that the case here, or is it pretty widespread?
Yeah, they're all over. We have some in Puerto Rico, some in Singapore, in Europe. So it's literally all over right now.
Yeah, great. I'm trying to. So we did the self tapes. We did over the Zooms. I want to go into how to like your nerves. I think all get into a situation where we before an audition. I imagine, I'm putting myself in your shoes. Get the appointment and you're like, hey, all itching to book this job, and whether it is a small job or whether it's a big job, I imagine those butterflies are what everybody is. Yeah, feeling that, natural. But I think that excitement is what separates this from any other opportunity, any other career. Kind of that you're put on that stage in a way, even down to the smallest of capacities with the audition. And I think you kind of like to embrace that instead of be fearful of it. You can look at that fear and be like, okay, if I'm getting this fear, that means something is happening that's good. Some opportunity is coming my way that is super positive. Put in a position to get nervous or, a little excited, but also like, okay, it's happening. This is big. Like, it is great. So you just have to look at it through the right lens of, okay, nerves are good. I am an opportunity to express myself through these characters and to also show people like, hey, what I've been training and practicing for, and now is my opportunity to showcase that. And yeah, it may come with a few or so to speak, but yeah, I think that is something where through the right lens, look at it like this is a good thing. Have any of you guys experienced that recently and it's made you get to the occasion, or you've let it like you felt it was too much? Has that happened to anybody recently? Yeah. Warren raising his hand. I would like to hear about that. And would you mind sharing?
Oh yes. To say like as far as rising to the like players, what she said. Um, I guess it's more like on like a big stage or whatever. But I have to say, as far as just like the photo shoots I've been in, not too long.
Sure.
Because I took a little break from them, and then when I came back, I was like I was feeling a little nervous. But whenever like it came time, like rised up, I don't know, it just went away, like all nerves and everything. And it was, I don't know. I guess that's like what I felt of what you was talking about.
No, I think to your point, and I think talking about your experience can in turn help others in the group, because this is you're just focusing on like job of acting and creating characters is putting yourself another person's shoes and trying to that character. To your point, yeah, you took that and yeah, you were met with like, I got a little feeling in my stomach here, and it's like it's the good nerves. So how did that I'm just curious, did you took that experience into a modeling something, and you kind of were like, oh, essentially you're like done, and then you used it in a positive way?
I guess it kind of developed like that feeling of getting used to it back when I used to play sports. So I was always like before big game, you feel nervous, and then when the game comes, it's just like you locked in and focused. Like it just goes away once you start. So you start, it all goes away. But leading up to it, or even on like me, like up to it, and as soon as you go on stage, it's like, oh yeah, it's on that feeling. I guess
No, I
little
think it is.
over the years.
I totally think that is on par and absolutely exactly what I was talking about. Where and then once you're like on showtime, it goes away and you forget about it. And it also is you get those feelings, you kind of a little if you get those feelings, and once you get to a place of like able to harness them, and that takes time, and there's nothing wrong with that taking time, but it gives you an opportunity to kind of do a little checklist in your head, because you're like thinking about things, and you're like, okay, let me run through it, make sure I'm prepared. And then when it's like up, or they hit the runway, or being called to set, or even an audition, even when it's like before you record an audition, the nerves can happen, and I think that's okay. I totally think you can embrace them and understand that even the most famous people in the world, they probably get the same thing, like everybody. So don't feel that it's just happening to you. So I think that is definitely the right lens to look through. Any other questions while we have a minute here before we go on to the next thing?
I have another question. So
Sure.
because you spoke on it, you said there's always, whenever you go to audition or when you submit stuff, it's always being watched, even from your social media standpoint, as far as acting. So do you think, because I was asked to be in like a short film that was non-speaking role, or like a short film was like not speaking, like whole film is not speaking. Do you think that would be a good thing to take on, and that could be used, even though it's like speaking and it's just pretty much acting in a way? Like, do you think that would be a good?
I do. You're trying to build out whether it's your resume or whether it's your reel. I think it is important I'm not going to sit here and say take everything, I'm not gonna, because that's a blanket statement that I just don't think without thought or knowing each individual project is worthy of saying take it all. But I think you have to give it a real strong look, because even these roles that are like speaking as you're trying to build up your career, the producers and the creative who are attached to that you're going to be on set with them, just because you're not going to like the non-speaking parts and just like come in side and then not interact with them. There's going to be everybody like together and interacting. So that could serve as, it's like you're basically using it as a mixer, an opportunity to like then schmooze and make connections. So I do think there is value in that. And also, if the part is substantial enough, even if you don't, let's just say for your example, you don't have any lines, but you're in a few scenes or even one really good scene, that moment can be used in your reel just in a different capacity. Like it could be seen in a bigger reel, and it's okay that it's don't have a line or two or whatever. So I do think the consideration should absolutely be had.
Because I was asked to be, the whole film was like me speaking, but he said I was asked to be the main character. It's like, it was like, this is my first.
I'm a little unique, but I think the entire project is non-speaking. I think it could, if it's shot well and it's done well, and it's a cool character, even though there's no dialogue, I would give it a run. Yeah. If you really like, it could be an opportunity. I wouldn't discredit it solely based on the non-speaking of it all. I would look at it from a wider perspective and be like, does this advantageous to my career? Yeah. Even if there's no dialogue, I still think there's a world where it can be.
Because it was like some Halloween film and I'd be a vampire, and I just wanted to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, that would be my advice. Films, vampires, that's popular.
Okay. All right.
Sure. Let's see here. Anybody else?
How important is somebody's brand or how well they are to work with on set?
That's two questions. Or the second, because the second one I can definitely speak to more. I think the brand stuff kind of goes with that as well. Was that you were asking two questions because you cut out in the beginning?
Yeah. So how important is it for someone, how easy they are to get along with on set?
I talk about this all the time with my clients, whether they are just starting out or whether they are on a series or someone who's movies. It is incredibly important that what you do on the outside of action and cut, which is acting, what you do around that means almost as much as what you're performing. Remember, like, this person acted, how kind they were. That stuff travels, and it absolutely gets back to the people that are making the decisions, and also by your reputation and your brand, which Jeremy led in with, is a reflection of that. I think the relationships that come from you working on set, and that is any set, no matter what it is, whether it's a small student film or whether it is a TV show or an independent film, the way you handle yourself is going to definitely follow you as your career grows and grows. And taking pride in how you want to be viewed is a characteristic that I think more and more actors should appreciate. Ones that do, it does make a difference. I have seen in certain experiences where blah blah, someone who people are like, hey, I just don't really good, they're great, but their energy is not the best, and that sometimes does make or break who gets the job. And I think it also speaks to actors have more fun when the energy on set is fun. I think caring about like other people you're working with and just being like a good human and compassionate to the It's the other people or the other actors is beyond important. Creates the best environment, and it also creates the most environment, because it gives you an opportunity to be on an even playing field just from a kindness standpoint, which opens up ways where people are more vulnerable to ideas, and where people are more understanding, where it's like, oh, it's a team, a little like not corny, but it's a little like rock, like all for one together. And I have seen it where someone has been brought on for acting capacity, but they end up making a piece of advice, and it completely like for the creative or the producer, and they use that in a larger capacity because they have this person act, and they're like, they've seen them act after their scenes are done and how they act, and just the good nature of their they are has led them to be like, oh, with me set when you're not working. And then it just brings everyone in, and it lets people trust you more. If the way you act on set isn't like, and I'm not saying be like, oh, nice, I'm just saying be a good natured human, and that will go a long way. And in these early stages of all your careers, where it's just starting, things are just cooking right now, you want to continue that, and your reputation, no matter where you are career wise, is super important. Just you always want someone, and I tell all of the people I represent this, you want them to associate your name with great actor and great human. You do that, and you're in the best position possible. That was a really great one, Jeremy. Thank you for that. Any questions in regards to just temperament on stage, or the socializing in any capacity? Right? If I mispronounce your name, I apologize. You're all good.
You've talked a lot about how to act at a casting, but I just want some tips on how to get like an audition, because I live an hour away from Vancouver, and I've been having a hard time to actually find something like where to audition. So I was just wondering if you have like websites or like to find something.
You're an hour outside of Vancouver, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Are the Actors Access up there? Are you on that?
Heard of it, but I'm not on it.
Okay. I think that would be like good place. States, it's Actors Access Breakdown Services, but I know the projects come out in Canada as well on their own Canadian platform. And I'm pretty sure the Actors Access goes through Canada as well. So I would look into that and create a profile. It's very easy.
Okay, great.
And put up headshots. I would recommend putting up, whether it's, even if you don't have, let's say you don't have a reel or footage so far, and that's totally fine. I would recommend taking something that you've watched that you feel confident in making your own self-tape for, just so it's your own self-tape, and then you put that up on this page, because I will tell you, and maybe this is like a little secret, but it does put you in a better position to have materials in your profiles, and that goes for anybody. On the algorithm they have it definitely, and there's no rhyme or reason why, but I know if you have a headshot, a reel, and like a self note, it for whatever reason does increase the probability of being seen. So as long as you have one of all those things, I think that is the best thing to do.
Okay,
now, why is that? I don't understand. I don't know the algorithm, but I have, told that is directly from running the company and the site of whatever platform this is through Breakdown Express or Actors Access, that it is a better thing to do. And as a second part, your question, I would submit on everything. Like if you're trying to get auditions, even in a capacity, everything, student films, independents, like film that Hollywood that are like, even in Canada, that are super profile. Obviously, you're going to submit on those, but I would do even student films. That gives you an opportunity to just work it out and flex a muscle.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, that would be my piece of advice for sure.
Great, thank you.
Yep, got it. Else. Shoot.
So when you say like rap scripts so it's kind of like on TikTok when the people do like recreate the dances pretty much just recreating the lines like you know what I mean? It's pretty
Definitely.
great. So it's pretty much
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is for which is a good. I'm glad that we got to this point through this conversation and this question. So basically, yeah, I think even if you don't have a reel or you're trying to get things book jobs, create your own and creating whether it's something that's still I think shooting like a scene or something or trying to make your own like movie is a little more difficult unless you have money and the cash to make that happen. I think that might be a little more too big. One second. Sorry about that. I think creating your own self tapes and just as whether it's an exercise or a way to use that on your submissions through the platform, I think would be a very good idea. So there are definitely websites out there where you can just get the lines and basically the script and the sides and stuff like that, that is just free. So take something that you enjoy, something that speaks to you, and kind of just reenact the scene. Now, when you do that, don't do it the way like trying to impersonate what you've watched, whether it's like, let's say, for example, it's Matt Damon in a movie. Don't do a Matt Damon impression. Do you would bring that to the table. You're not doing a Matt Damon impression. You're doing your own version of that because it will only be the best showcase of your ability while you're trying to one, get auditions, and two, get footage for people to see of your work. So that would be my creating your own like reels way. And then if you sign up for class, and in class, if you and a scene partner are working something out and you're like, oh, this is really good. I'm enjoying this. I'm having a great scene partner. I'm working it out. And don't be afraid to put it on tape and use that. There are so many times where a self tape or an in class, see used in a larger capacity. And as an agent to a variety of actors, I use it all the time like that. And it works. So I can speak on that. Yes.
Me?
Yes. Yeah.
Talking about the self tapes and how like TikTok was mentioned here. I've seen something about people doing like as voiceovers. What do you like think about that? Like reenacting a scene from a movie but using the voiceover of a sound, like lips to the sound.
So you're essentially, I'm trying to just, if I don't get it right, just correct me. So it's like thinking to a scene in a movie.
I've seen people do that, but I don't know if that's like a good idea or not.
I mean, I want to do that in a fun way to put on like your media. That's not a bad idea. That's acceptable. Would I recommend you doing that and then using it for get TV and film jobs? But social media, sure, why not? Have fun with it. It's definitely a way to create your own and stuff. So definitely that. But to use it as like a self tape or a showcase of TV and film, I probably wouldn't. But think it does be a good opportunity for social media. Just not. I just don't think the TV and film space where it would be good. Now, if you want to take that same scene and do it with your own voice and you acting it out, go for it.
Okay, yeah. Seen it and I was like, to me it didn't look like a great like idea. I'd seen
Sure.
a couple people do it and I was like, wait, does this like actually work? So I was just wondering.
Yeah, I think it's a great question.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. Anybody? Okay. Should we open it up? Maybe what do you guys usually?
Yeah, do you guys have
finish?
any other questions for Adam that would be industry related? Anything like that that he hasn't touched on so far?
Yeah, and this could be piggybacking off what Jeremy said. This could be anything, whether it's not, space, just about, the world in general. Feel free.
What's your opinion on the acting classes or that workshops?
I think they are insanely important. Especially if you are not in Los Angeles or New York, like the hubs. I think it's good no matter where you are. But I think is good, especially if you're outside of those two spaces, because it gives you an opportunity to work out that muscle. It's like jump shots in before a basketball game, or like a driving range. Get on and play golf. It's this thing. You got to work out that muscle. And especially if you guys are, just starting and have been in, the game for a while, I think it's good because you also get to meet people that are like-minded, have a drive to want to do this as well, and you never know where it could lead to a new writing partner, or it could be you meet there your scene partner just for the day or the class, or even a few. That person ends up knowing this person, and you're like, oh wait, I know this person. And then it just larger world of entertainment and makes it a little to that. So I think I would do as much as possible. Now I don't know if there are like many different versions of that, and then I would many as possible, and I would do one, but I wouldn't class to class. I would do the entire run at one place. If you are vibing with their program and you enjoy the teachers and stuff like that, I would stay there, get that under your belt, and then move on to something else, and then I would mix in the workshops. I would probably recommend the classes before the workshops. And then once you have a few classes under your belt, then I would mix in the workshops and classes at the same time. So that would be that recommendation, because you also want to, these workshops that you go into, you want to feel as confident and as prepared as possible. So I think getting your footing and your confidence at a level where you are pleased with is a really important thing. Yes, Luna.
So I was just about how you were saying the self tapes, but like I figure skate and I also do martial arts. So could I film a video of me doing either of the two sports and like upload that as well? As like a situation that like whoever's like trying to, if they're doing like a figure skating or something and they need an audition, could I put in a video of me actually figure skating?
Yeah, I think that's special skills, that whether it's figure skating, it's martial arts, I think are extremely good to highlight. And there's a verb that is absolutely where, if you have you want to, that is a compilation of on the doing martial art in any capacity, whether it's at up in a your acting works too, but even if it's with no acting and just a highlight of the special skills, and that goes off for anything, that a skill that you feel extremely confident in, I would definitely do that, because you can never go wrong having too much footage of like all the things you do right. It only enhances, like, okay, this person can this really well, like, and here's proof.
Yeah, also the I've had trouble with is I did have an audition, but I've worked over the years to get rid, because I speak fluent Spanish. It's my first language. So I've worked over the years really hard to get rid of my accent, and I feel like I'm just wondering if that would be something that might like in some way like barrier my like of getting actual like job, or
You're saying the
like
accent would,
because I can like hide it pretty well, like you can still hear it. So I feel like maybe some movies would be like, oh no, you have like a slight accent. No.
well, I think that, and like, is good if that goal is to have that in your everyday life, and then when you're acting, be able to turn it on and turn it off. I think leaning in is important to do when you're in class, or whether you're just like out and about and you're like choosing to not talk like accent. You want to really just practice when you go, practice when you're at school.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good thing, because you also want to put yourself into a situation where it's more spontaneous as because that will just the muscle memory will be there.
Because then there's also like the British actors that just sound completely American. So I
Right.
just think like being able to switch it on and off might.
Yeah, I think that's factual, and yeah, it overnight. It definitely takes practice. All the professional you who lose they've worked tirelessly at. So
You
yeah,
can
I just
see that much anymore, but it used to be pretty thick.
sure yeah keep at it. I think it's
Great, thank you.
absolutely yeah. Dante, right?
Hi, Mom.
Hi,
Hi.
hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
So,
So we're
I'm
yeah. Go on.
we're from
Okay.
Dante, literally just starting out. We just joined Next Star Productions, and this is maybe our third workshop, and we're preparing for our showcase in February. And
Oh, lovely.
yes, and one of the requirements is a 30-second moment. He's never done that before. I mean, he's done some little school plays, but so I guess what we're looking for is some good advice on how to prepare for that since he's not done it before.
Absolutely.
And where to search for something that he would like and connect with, so it'd be easier for him to memorize and put himself into.
Yeah. No, totally. Said it is in what's the time frame from now until then?
February?
Oh, okay. February.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a nice amount of time to think about a topic or a genre
Yeah.
that you enjoy. And it could be something, whether it's your movie, and even if where it's like, let's say an animated movie.
Yeah.
But there's
Okay.
there's a that is just Dante loves it.
Yeah.
It's like it's really whether it's heartfelt. I think that is absolutely fine. So I would have, being that you do have a good, you have a solid. This is the perfect time to get like, and to think about it.
Okay.
I would get a few, get like two, get like three. I don't want too many options.
Okay.
I would then give it. I would get all the like whether it's this or just the monologue, and whether you print it out, handwrite it, whatever is easier for Dante.
Yeah, that's the trick, trying to get the written part something easier for him to look at and practice.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And so how to access that, that's another step.
I think there are yet the transcripts and the actual scripts online and free of cost. I don't necessarily know how open that is to the public, but there's also, I mean, this is a cool way of doing it. I mean, you could, and
Well, I'm old school, that's fine with me.
yeah, I think totally and it could be something fun for you guys to do together.
Yeah.
Where you're pausing it so often,
Yeah.
but I that could also be a way for both of you to do it together and just honestly just a fun activity.
Sure. Okay.
Yeah. So I would take,
Okay.
and then I would get where why this one better idea, why I like one, and honestly just play with it for a few play, and you can play with a couple at the same time. Like don't, and then you see together, you'll be able to be like, oh, this one is speaking to me more. Give yourself an opportunity to understand why you like this one better. If you choose out of the three, you choose two, you're like, okay, I want to take two and I want to give it a go and ultimately decide on one of them. But by doing each of them, you're gonna one is going to ultimately win. So I think that would be my piece of advice.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And it sounds like a great a fun activity with you two just pausing and things down and just playing with it. Just play with it. Have fun. At the end of the day, that's really important.
Thanks so much, Adam. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah, Sebastian.
I was just gonna ask, I've been in a few different sets before, and I've gotten along with pretty much everyone, but if there
Okay.
was a scenario that you didn't really get along with someone, how would you deal with that?
Let's see. If I was putting myself in the actor's shoes or as like the rep of if I'm agent, would you want to hear that perspective, or would you want to hear if I was the actual actor in
Like, if
the
you were the
audition?
actor, like, what would
If
you
I was
do?
the actor. Okay. So feel free to jump in and correct me, as we put this scenario together. So, all right, so you're on set, and after, you're seen and you have an in with someone that doesn't feel great, doesn't go the way you want it to, correct?
Yeah.
I think at the point, I think to if this is, if you're seen and then something happens where you're just like, okay, this is you're leaving shortly. It's obviously, something that you need to talk to someone about. I mean, always feel talking to whether it's one of the creatives or one of the producers or someone, whether it's the first AD or one of the crew, just about the experience. Don't feel that it is going to be a negative for you for speaking up like that. I think it only helps by communicating. That's the biggest thing. Communication is super important. And don't be in that moment. I understand that it could be difficult to be like, okay, this is, I don't want to like any feathers or anything like that. But, like, if something happens that makes you uncomfortable or in any capacity, speak up. Yeah, immediately talk to whether someone in the crew would be like, and if you don't want to do it like in front of them, just pull them aside. Be like, hey, can I have a quick chat? And then just feel confident in that. Yeah, never feel that you can't do that and speak up. Like, absolutely. I think you're always in a good position when you communicate, and you're yourself too.
All right. If, for example,
Yeah.
if you wanted to be in the actor or agent shoes, what would you do in the agent shoes?
If an actor came, if it's me, be like, hey, I was on set. This happened. So my immediate also be to do the same thing that I've instructed you to do, and I'm calling the producers, I'm calling the creative, or anybody like that. And if it's like a higher profile thing or a network, calling everybody to communicate what experience you've had and to try to make it better. I think that is because once again leads me into communication, and that you have with also your representation. Always share. Like, don't feel to keep any of this in. I think it's very important, whether we're talking about self tapes, whether we're talking about on-set experiences, whether we're talking about acting classes, headshots, etc. Communication with your team, no matter who they are, is insanely important.
Okay, yeah.
Good question.
Okay, thanks.
No. If you have something else, feel free. I think that was great. Anybody else?
For anyone that doesn't know, do you mind explaining what AD means?
Yes, that is the assistant director. So there's the second. There are members of the crew that also help out the. I think that it's always good to remember with these, whether when you're on set, that the crew are there they have a job, but there's also to make your situation feel the most comfortable. I think that it's something to realize, like, that it's a team. It's like I was saying, where you guys share ideas and share, topics, and that on set, people want to share too. And they want to share the experience, and everybody wants to help everybody out. And I think you can always lean on like that. Even if you're doing a student film, they have, an assistant, have, all these, and they have a director, there's a writer, there's someone producing as well. So even, down to a film, I think it's always good to know who you have on set so you can best be served working with them. So that would be a good plan of attack to have knowledge of that. Anybody else? Yeah.
Sorry, I've had quite a couple of questions, but I have about the whole like being able to cry on command. Is that like a good advantage to have?
I mean, I think definitely is useful. In the right setting, for definitely something where you can tap into that emotion. Absolutely, I think that's great.
Even if it's like emotionless, you can just like make your eyes start tearing.
Sure. Yeah,
could
that's
that be a positive situation?
I do. It's a negative.
Okay,
It's a
great.
yeah. It just separates you. I don't. You know, not everybody can. So I think that is positive.
Yeah, because like crying, I realize how some actors just cry on the spot, but then there's people that can, and I feel like that might be like a positive situation.
Yeah. No. It's a good to have.
Okay, great.
That is
Just
absolutely
wondering,
no,
because
yes.
they like used to get the actors to cry. Is it like a certain like you're like
Yeah. There's
and
like
stuff?
like other things like they're like an onion. Yeah. There's other things people will use. As long as you can, do that, still keep the essence of the character and the dialogue. I think that's the course of action, and that goes with anything like an accent that the character has, or you're doing a tape and the script calls for somewhere in the Midwest, and you're like, okay, I think there's an ability to bring in a Midwestern accent, or it's in the South and there's a Southern accent. I think there's nothing wrong with leaning into that as long as it keeps the essence of the character and the dialogue too. And that doesn't get lost along the way. If you're like, I can really nail this accent, but I can't I can't then bring the dialogue to life in a big way, then you gotta kinda like find I think making sure that you have that balance is extremely important.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
So yeah, good lead in larger conversation.
Thank you.
All right, let's see here. Hey Jeremy, I don't think looks like we don't have any questions at this moment. Any direction on how you want me to close this out? Any questions that you have that you would like me to talk to the group about?
Do you have any recommendations that people should stay away from when doing auditions or looking for representation?
Let's see. When you're doing auditions, let's stick with that. Improving your own dialogue is sometimes not the best idea. I think like I said in the beginning, making different choices with that dialogue, great. I think actors run into issues when they go too much off script. And that goes, with auditions. Sometimes it could be when you're on set too, unless you like it's welcomed when you're on set. And until you get to a stage where for a go like going with dialogue is accepted, I would not recommend doing that. Adding your own flavor, absolutely. Bring that to the table every audition you do. Changing the dialogue, I would not recommend doing that. I've seen it. It never an actor. And it kind of catches people when it's not asked for. Now it's be like, hey, improv and have fun. Great, go for it. But yes, sticking to script for auditions, stay on script. It would definitely be in your best interest to do that. And then when you're looking for, whether it's a manager or an agent, I think sending is totally acceptable. I think you have to also remember, don't forget to like include these things that separate you from other people. Like, there are people in entertainment, regardless of where you are internationally, whether you're in Canada or the US. And you need to, in these emails that you send out to people with your material, you want to put as much uniqueness to your emails and that special skills. And don't BCC it. Like send individual emails, people. Don't just do a mass email. I've seen that I've seen a lot of times. And it's just you put like everyone's email in the toolbox and then you press send and it just goes to everybody at once. My recommendation would be do not do that. I think it's from an agent or I think it doesn't put guys in the best position. So send a personal email, be make sure to highlight whether it's a self-tape or, a new headshots. Make sure to highlight that in the beginning. So I think that's the thing. Any questions on that?
One has any other questions for Adam?
All right.
Oh,
Well,
then I guess we're done.
Well, I think it was, yeah, I really like the group of you. Think I hope that I put you in a position to have learned a little bit, to also ask questions and curious. I think are things, that will well in this, no matter, whether you're on set, etc. And yeah, I think of the day it's important, like I said, with self-tapes, just have fun with it. Like, don't, that's the main. I tell my actors this all the time. Just have fun. Like, whether you're doing a few takes, one take, have fun with it. And then you press send and it's out there. But at the end of the day that you had fun.